everyone, and welcome to When the Midnight Sun Sets, an Alaskan alternative podcast. We're here today with our special guest, Claire Fluff Llewellyn. We're over the moon excited to have Claire with us today. Done everything from writing and directing and producing and acting and a musician. Her list is super extensive. So we have a lot of really exciting questions, and we're going to be adding links. So yeah, without further ado, I got to ask, how did you get into acting? When did you start?
Oh, that's a great question. I guess every kid, especially if you're shy, wants to be an actor. Well, at least wants to pretend to be somewhere else and somebody else, you know. I mean, so yeah, I had lots of moments like that at school. So I kind of thought, but then I did join drama class. But drama class was more for basically dropouts from the rest of the academic classes, if you like, which, yeah, nothing wrong with that, but they were more outspoken, should you say, than me. I was very, very quiet and shy when I was a kid. So it didn't really suit me. And the whole pretending to be a tree thing was like, this is stupid. So I dropped that, and I can't remember what topic I replaced it with. It was something else created. It might have been workshop, as you call it, you know, CDT, technical drawing, stuff like that.
Okay.
So it was still in the creative field, but so that was my first foray into acting ish. I was in a school play. I played a rat in Dick Whittington. And if I can find the photo, so I'll send it over to you. You can see if you can spot me.
I love it. Yeah, I want to see that.
That was hilarious. But then, yeah, I didn't really think much about acting thereafter. I went into music. I was when I was at primary school, we had not so much. Our one teacher, my last teacher, was a guitarist, and he used to make up songs, fun songs, and sing them to the class. I thought that was cool. He taught us poetry, as in traditional rhyming verse. And we were schooled on the likes of specifically Roald Dahl, because he had some really fun, creepy verses for children.
Oh, yeah.
Not rotten rhymes, I keep revolting rhymes, I think. And obviously, you know that he did Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and all that, and BFG, and that was a lot of fun. So I got very into doing traditional verse, and we also made our own greeting cards when we were at primary school. And primary school for us, I'm talking like age 5 to 10.
Nice. Okay.
So on holidays we would make greeting cards, so I would write a verse in them, and I really enjoyed doing that. So then when I got to high school, I said around the age 10, 11 till 16 in the UK, and I got into music. I was in the school choir, and I kept writing here and there. I was trying to write a short story book in the school holidays over the years, and didn't get very far with that, actually. But I liked English lit, and we had to do essays on, you know, books, book reports, and I would have to read out some of mine to the class, and some of my fictional stories I had to stand up and read because they were a little bizarre. And, always into horror. Got to watch horror as a kid. Grew up on Hammer horror, Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing. Not so much Universal. It was more Hammer. And then as a later teen, go to the video store on weekends with my parents, and they had a great deal of like get 5 VHS for like £5 or something like that, and I'd get to pick them out, and it's like, oh, the horror wall. I wasn't old. If they were 18, so obviously I wasn't old enough. It was like, doesn't matter, mum's purchasing. Yep. They would let us watch certain things.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And we had the video nasties back then in the 80s. So of course, when things came off the banned list, we got we got to see Evil Dead 1 and 2 on VHS. I was more amused than scared. Well, especially the second one is more of a comedy. So that was great. And I remember when Jaws first came on the TV, I wasn't allowed to watch it. I don't remember how old I was, but I remember taking a bath at the time, which was quite apropos. But my parents were like, no, it's too scary. You're not watching it. And then when Aliens came on, I got my mum to, or Alien, should I say, the first one with John Hurt. I got my mum to record it and then had a friend over, and the intro to that says, a warning, do not eat while watching this program. So me and my mate were like, right, let's raid the snacks. What can we get? So it's like always been into horror. And as far as the writing goes, writing is very good therapy. I kept like in the poetry mode, as in the rhyming scheme, but changed it up as I got more into music, into writing lyrics. And then when I left school, I said age 16 we leave high school, and then you can either go job training or straight into the workplace, or you can go to college, and then it's a 2-year college, and then degrees and university are after that at 18. I went on to college, nothing spectacular to report there. But anyway, I decided to try and form a band. My father was the original bass player for Traffic. I don't know if you've heard of the 70s band Traffic.
Yeah, that is really cool.
Band. But unfortunately, my dad had a little bit of a disagreement with Jim Capaldi, the drummer, and he doesn't really like to talk about it, but he got replaced, I think, by Dave Mason. He said the bass player. And yeah, they were called the Jaguars back then, before they became famous as Traffic. He's still got his 3/4 Hofner bass, which is quite cool. And he also rode, he rode a motorbike, his dad rode a motorbike. So then I got into bikes as well, much to their despair. One of my cousins was in a band. I played keyboards at school when I did music as a class in school. And so my very first band, I was actually the keyboard player. But I wasn't too confident doing that, and I like to sing. So then I thought, well, I'm going to start my own band, and I'm going to be the singer. And we did classic rock cover versions, rock blues, so a bit of the Beatles, like Bad Company, stuff like that, in that vein, Whitesnake. Then I started writing my own with all the lyrics, and I would work 2 ways. I would either have the musicians would come up with a riff and I would write to that, or I would give them some lyrics and they would write something accordingly. But it was more often that I would have to write to their tunes, to their music. And I did that for years in different groups. And something I really enjoyed, but only one band, my first band, ever got out of the practice room and got to gig. We were called Stir Crazy, and did that for a while. How it was called, my first gig was on a huge stage at a theatre. We were a support band for a friend's band, and I was shit scared. I had coloured glasses on, and I looked a bit like Guns N' Roses, Axl Rose. I had the cropped leather blue jacket on, and my blue Lennon glasses, and some like spandex pants, and then to emulate like Steven Tyler, because I loved Aerosmith, I put loads of scarves on the mic stand, thinking I can hide behind that.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I love it.
But we didn't have wireless mics or anything back then, so there was leads everywhere. I was tripping over leads. And my parents were in the balcony, so even though I had my glasses on, I could tell they were up there like watching me. My dad's never really been a fan of my voice, and he prefers country music anyway, but it's like that was quite a traumatic experience. But one of my guitarists was actually confessed to having puked before the show because it was his first time on stage too. So
We know about that. He was in a metal band in high school when we met.
Oh yeah.
And so the first time I ever saw him, he was on stage and
So
he would get nervous.
We had face paint and the lights were bright enough, so I didn't have to see the people, but I still knew they were there. So I get that. It's intense,
It's intense, yeah.
but it's cool.
it's an experience. You say, well, how could you do that when you're shy? It's because you take yourself out of you're out of your head, you know. But
Yeah.
It's so true. You're able to kind of like, I don't know, act really. Like, I guess that's kind of what you're doing up there.
It's another extension of stage if you think about it. And that's, I think, what makes it so rewarding, at least for me. But I get
Was it during Stir Crazy? Is that around about the time that you came to Chicago? Was it right around that time or?
oh no, that was just right after high school, pretty much. I came to Chicago in 2004 when I was 30. So, yeah, I'm getting a little long in the tooth now.
And then I read that you initially were looking at becoming a Gothic illusionist.
I was a Gothic illusionist assistant.
Assistant. Okay,
Yeah.
you have to explain that because it sounds really cool, but I'm trying to picture it and that sounds amazing and like I want to go. So you have to kind of tell me what that looks like.
It was a great experience. So I did a trade show as a booth assistant for it was a Halloween trade show or something, and it was a clothing booth, and somehow I landed this gig and just to wear their clothing and try and flog it on when people were coming around. And I met this Gothic illusionist, Ron Fitzgerald. He's known in the Chicagoland area, and we just got chatting and kept in touch, and he added me to his crew as another assistant for his show. And he was obviously into horror too, as he's like a Gothic illusionist. He puts a horror spin on his act. So we went to perform and have a table at a lot of local conventions, like Fangoria when that was around and in Chicago.
Wow, that's cool.
And so I built up a network there and got to go to all those events, and we perform at those events, which was cool. Met some great people. That got in that I did that for 5 years. It was a lot of fun. And through Ron, I met other film people because he was an indie actor as well. So then got into some local indie horror films and decided, why don't I make my own, get a little crew together. And as I'm a writer, then just like transform one, I never short of ideas. So I just started writing some scripts to, basically explore acting more. That was the real reason I got into making my own films, because I found it very difficult to find suitable casting calls. One, at that time, I didn't know where to look. I'd started getting into doing background work, which I still do now, and which is a great experience. You get to work on some really big projects and great projects that you would never even set foot on their set unless you got to a good position with an agent and all that lot in the industry. So being background's a great experience. Some people snub their nose at it, think they're too good for it. I think that's bull, because you're still experiencing a professional set and you're learning. If you're observant, you're learning all the time. It's not for everyone, because there's a lot of just sit and wait and it can be boring, but you can also network. You're not going to be a star doing background, don't get that fake idea. It's like, oh, Brad Pitt was background once. It's like,
so there is this one guy though who's been a background actor in like a ton of movies, and there's like YouTube compilations of this particular dude.
Yeah, I've heard
all
that.
these
Yeah.
movies. And so I mean that's still pretty cool that you can be famous just for being a background actor because you're in so many things. And your list of movies is really impressive.
Yeah, you have a lot.
I don't put all my background work on there. I only like to put background work on there that I know I'm actually definitely seen. I'm either
Right.
featured, or you can definitely see me and tell it's me, or it's just a really cool project that I think would work with my here we go, brand, as in something that's in the horror vein. So like Sinister 2 and think, you know, Exorcist TV series, that was awesome. So things like that is, you know, definitely helps in a small way.
And you were a nun on the Exorcist TV series, right?
Yeah, I was a recurring character, a nun on 4 episodes, and I got to hold down the possessed lead character and almost got a line. If I was union, I would have, but some productions are okay with upgrading background for like a couple of words, or a light under 5 they call it. It doesn't cost them that much, but it's a nice chunk of change for us. But some productions won't allow it, and unfortunately that production would not allow it, and it wasn't, and it was under 5, it wasn't a lot of lines, but because I was non-union, I got booted for stunt nun, because stunt people are union, so so she got my line.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Close.
Did you notice a big difference between acting in like a TV series versus like when you did multiple episodes versus just one of like just a normal film? Did you notice a difference in it? Was it harder to do it, or?
As in the atmosphere on set, how they worked, or is that what you mean?
I just mean, I guess, like there being multiple episodes versus one cohesive piece. Did you go back and film multiple times, or did you do it all in one setting, or did they do a couple callbacks when you were filming the series?
Oh, for example, with The Exorcist, I worked 10 days on that for those 4 episodes.
Oh, nice.
And with films too, they'll shoot for months. They'll block out right with June till September or whatever, and they have a whole block. And it depends on what scenes they're doing. It depends on many factors as to what scenes they'll do in a day. But more often than not, you'll be shooting more than one day, and they're long days. A pedestrian, same background pedestrian on like just one outdoor scene, then that's a one and done. It, you won't be back again for that unless they have to reshoot it. But for like office scenes, I just worked on Justified TV series, worked many days on that, office scenes as a detective, and then various other roles. that was fun. Got a lot of work on that, and I'm grateful for that. So.
That's awesome. I never really knew. I worked with actually met Rob Mello because I worked with him on Vengeance 2, the Friday the 13th film. And so that's my only experience being on set was working on that film. So I really wasn't sure if TV, if they film the same as you do a normal film, or if because it's different episodes, they film at different times. So I just was curious about that. But I didn't realize, I guess because they're shorter episodes, they can compact it or compile it just like they would a normal movie. So
it's a lot more rushed than a movie in some ways. And they usually have 1-2 weeks maximum to shoot an entire episode.
Oh, nice. Okay. That's incredible. And then I was going to ask you, who have been some of your biggest like acting influences kind of coming into it? Does anybody really stand out, or have you kind of just taken pieces from a lot of different people?
There are a lot of great actors, and I watch so much content. Actors that I admire, wow, there's so many, and my brain doesn't work very well, so trying to think of them. Obviously the classics like Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee, Vincent Price are up there for me. You'll never replace guys like that. And then some of the others, don't know how long they'll be around, like Anthony Hopkins, bless him, he's getting up there now. So, and people in that, there's a lot of great actors in that generation Christ, that's a tough one. I like so many. It's like I like Lance Hendrickson. Who was on my list of who I would like to work with? Lance Hendrickson. I don't met him in person. Super sweet guy. He's great. Ray Weiss, love him.
Oh,
Not always all horror people, but I watch more horror than anything else.
Right.
Tilda Swinton for the women, she's fabulous.
Oh, Tilda Swinton. Yeah.
Yeah, and Meryl Streep, of course.
Oh yeah.
My list could go on and on.
So I got to ask about Hobo with a Trash Can, because I haven't had a chance to finish the entire movie, which I'm really excited to. We got Tubi TV just so we could watch it, which I'm really excited about. But I got to hear your story about it. So you wrote that one, correct?
So I'd only written and made short films up to that point. Kind of struggle with writing long form content because I'm a perfectionist and it takes me forever to write anything, and to a degree that gets ridiculous, that I'm like checking my spelling, my grammar, and I'm like puzzling over a sentence for an hour. It's like, oh God, it's a bit too pedantic sometimes. That's why I don't know if I would ever manage a novel. Poetry is much easier. But scripts, yeah, so I'd only ever done short scripts. And then also there's the viability of making a feature film in demands of financing, locations, cast, crew, scheduling, and all that goes into making a movie. It's a lot easier to work on shorter form content, especially when you're starting out. So I thought, well, why not help myself and help others like me to get better distribution, which you can get wider distribution on a feature than you can on a short. So I then came up with the idea for a no budget. At first it started out as a competition, but I'm so bad on promoting and social media and all that stuff that the competition didn't really work so much as a competition, but I got what I needed from it. So and the competition was that filmmakers should do a 30-second teaser of what their film would be, and I would send them, then send me their interest initially, and I would send them an item, not physically, I'd tell them an item of garbage that was to be their central focus of their movie, because each short segment is centered around an item of trash. So that's how it worked, and I got the people I needed, and then, oh, excuse me, I'm a little hoarse and phlegmy today. So. Oh, tea. So, and it was dollar horror makes you holler. I had this whole great marketing gimmick for. I should shut my phone off. Sorry, I thought I'd done that already.
Oh no, you're fine. It happens to us all the time.
So yeah, so yeah, that's a good marketing ploy, because I gave each I wanted to see how inventive the directors could be on such a tight budget. So I gave them $1. So yes, I'm the executive producer. I gave each director $1 and told them what item of trash to use. So that shouldn't have cost them anything either. And then go and make your short between 10 and around 10-minute mark, I guess, was my aim for each short. Some are more, some are less. And I wrote, so obviously I didn't know exactly what their stories would be, but I knew the focus, the item of trash. So I worked that into the wraparound. I wrote the wrap to incorporate those items, so it had more of a cohesive flow, like a actual movie, rather than just the anthologies where it's independent shorts that have no correlation to each other.
Right.
That's a popular style, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not what I wanted to do. And I wrote the initial short as well, the frying saucer segment. That first segment also ties in a lot of the whole story. So that first segment plus the wraparound gives the whole story arc, if you like. And then interspersed with these other directors, these other shorts as the main character, the hobo, Christopher Kaler, my partner in crime on all my movies. He was the hobo because he plays it so well. You'll see him as a hobo on nearly every TV show for the past like 10 years. He's got the part down.
I love the dog scene. I was laughing so hard. I love the comedy. We try and fit her dog in wherever we can. She's a sweetheart, Shatsy. Oh. And the rat was a friend's pet as well. Oh, that's so cool.
So we had a lot of fun with that, and it was interesting to see it all come together. I think it worked quite well, and it does its job within its market. You know, it's had a lot of good reviews from people who really like that kind of thing. But you really have to know what you're getting into, know where it fits in filmland, and be into that, or you're not going to enjoy it. You know,
right?
It's a stoner movie, I think.
I wrote a short story like that where it was a really big metaphor, but if you weren't seeing it from that angle, you were going to think it was absolute trash. And I thought it was one of the best pieces I'd ever written, and I got a lot of mixed reviews from people who got it or didn't get it. So right. I know exactly what you're talking about. And so your production company, it's Bloody Brit Productions.
Yeah.
When did you form your own production agency? How did that come about?
Well, basically, when I decided I wanted to make films, I didn't want to have it under my name, as in, sometimes you'll see a film by Claire Fluff Llewellyn, but I didn't want the company name to be my name. I think that's just a little too pretentious. So I wanted an actual company name. I'm not an LLC. I haven't had the funds for that and all the tax crap that comes along with it. It's like, at my level right now with what I've been doing, it's not really necessary, and I just can't fathom it right now. So give me a decent chunk of change budget, and I might change my mind. But initially my production company was called Skinny Cow Productions, and 2009 started that, when I started out on my first movie, Conscience. And I got into a little bit of hot water with that 3 years or so later, by nasty corporation, come after me if you like, you assholes, Nestle.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I didn't even.
They sent me a
diet foods.
Yeah, the people who don't believe that water is a human right. Yeah. Oh. Evil corporation. They have lawyers that just search and look for people to sue anyone who's infringing on their brand, because they have the sub brand Skinny Cow products, as in low calorie desserts and stuff. They'd started doing Google campaigns and commercials for that brand, and that's how they came across me and said, oh no, you can't do it. It's like, I knew about you, but we're not in the same market in any way. And I did my research and I thought I was fine. No, cease and desist, you can't do that. So to prevent them suing me, I said, well, I've been operating under this name for a few years, got my website, I've got my content and stuff, which has all got this brand on and everything. And it's going to cost me to rebrand. So they paid me a bit of cash to change my name. So I thought, okay, fine, cool, thanks, see ya. And so then I came up with Bloody Brit as actually a much better, much more suitable name. So it worked
So it
out.
worked out all the way around. You're like, hey, thanks for the money.
Yeah.
I think Billy Britt definitely sticks in your head a little bit.
Yeah, it's really
catchy, and I like it.
So what was the
It's a
very first
double-edged
short that you
because
did?
bloody is a mild swear word
Mhm.
in the UK. Plus, it's very British, and then bloody works for horror, obviously. So it works on multiple levels.
That is so cool. What was the very first short that you did, or your very first film project that you completed?
Conscience,
Conscience.
and that stars Ron, and that's almost, but not quite, a fan film. It's a little bit of a knockoff of the Hannibal Lecter story.
Okay.
That's really cool.
But with a twist. It's not currently. I sold DVDs, but they're out of production now. I don't think it's not currently streaming for free at the moment. It's kind of in a no man's land. It's kind of earmarked for an anthology that I've been thinking about doing, because my short movies, I feel, do deserve more of a look and to get out there more than they've been able to. So yeah, I'm thinking about an anthology for that.
Oh, that would be really cool. And Visitation, that's a short as well, right? I wanted to hear the story on that because you said it was a Christmas themed horror. So that's really really intriguing.
That's my third short. My second short was director's cut, which a lot of people actually said, and especially filmmakers said, that they really enjoyed privately. I wish they'd have shared that publicly, but there you go. It's those two shorts are quite long. Conscience and director's cut are like just over 30-minute mark. But director's cut is based on it's basically me having comedic revenge on a director I worked on as an actor in my first feature film, my first lead role. It was a vampire film. I can't mention the film or the director. The film is not available, and it was a bit of a nightmare. So this is my comedic revenge, and the director is based on him, and there's a lot of inside jokes, and a couple of the cast members are from that film also. So we had a lot of fun with that. But you don't need to know the backstory to find it funny. So it works anyway. And it's about a sleazy film director who's trying to make a no-budget indie horror film, and he wants some flesh. So.
That's awesome.
Well, that was a lot of fun. Visitation is a short. It's like 11 or 13 minutes. And yeah, that's a Christmas one. And that is not funny in any shape or form. It's very depressing. It's very grim. It's supernatural thriller. I just wanted to do something. I was off that year, back to the UK for Christmas, and I just had the itch to make another film, because it had been a while. It takes a long time for us to get going on anything, and there's so much of a time gap between our productions. So I just wanted to get something done as quickly as possible, regardless of the length. And just overnight, I had this idea. I wrote the script in record time for me. A friend, Rob Sepulveda, helped us out. We used his location and some friends that we know, actors, and knocked it out. And my intention was actually to try and make people cry. I wanted to reach that kind of emotional level. It's had a couple of good reviews. People said it really did hit home. It's not for everyone, because it's basically about a child dying, and some people don't like that. It's not graphic in any way. But I think it does send a message about parents fighting and selfishness. And
I like that. I really like that. And I love that you can go as a creator. Like acting alone is difficult enough, but the fact that you can create comedy and then go from a comedy to something that's dark and gripping like that, that people can relate to and can, they understand it and they've lived it, is incredible. And that says a lot about your talent. That's really incredible. That's really hard to do. Like once you get in, especially once you kind of develop a style, trying to break out of that, is hard. It's not easy at all. So it's really cool.
And I have to ask, as an independent filmmaker, we tried our hand at that. We made a short a couple of years ago. Random bit of inspiration kind of hit me. We're like, let's make a movie. And I wrote like I don't know, 3 or 4 line script, and we did it was 2 nights I think we spent filming, but it took me almost 2 years to actually put everything together and put it out. It was a lot of work. And when it comes to you making those movies, what's your advice for people either trying to get into the scene on that, or just people who want to put their ideas and their inspiration to film? And what keeps you going when you make those?
That's a really good question, and a tricky one. And I think the advice everybody gives is just do it. It's a little more to it than that. It's a little harder than that.
Right.
Having the tenacity and the motivation and determination is a big part of it, because there are so many obstacles. Obviously finances is up there as a big one, but it doesn't always all hinge on that, especially when you're just starting out. Just grab whoever you can. There are a lot of up and coming actors who will work for free to some degree. We've all done it, to get started and to help people out. Networking is really important, just to get to know people in your field, anyone who's interested in helping you. And you don't have to have top of the range equipment to start with. I mean, people are using whatever recording devices they can get their hands on. And if you've got the funds to have a decent phone, phones now are having great, and they even have film festivals for mobile, for cell phone shot footage.
Yeah, I saw that they put out a major movie a couple of years ago shot entirely on iPhones.
Oh, I
guess
didn't
it won
hear
a bunch
about
of
that.
awards.
That's
So
incredible.
it makes things a little bit more accessible, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's amazing.
We
I
don't work with
gotta
large
ask
crews.
about. I'm sorry, I did not mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
We don't work with, because we never have budgets, we don't work with large crews. I mean, Chris has been my main crew person. He's done it on his projects and mine. He's the cameraman, he's the editor, he's the grip, he's the gaffer. He does everything. Occasionally we'll have our friend Rob help us out, or his buddy Tommy Sigmund, he's another filmmaker. But for the most part, Chris does it all, and it gets a bit too much. I mean, I directed Visitation because I wanted to get more in on that side. It's not my strength. I'd say my strength is first writing and then acting. But when you've got no budget, you have to do a little bit of everything. But I know what I like to do, and I know where I'm strongest. So if I've got a budget, there are certain areas that I would designate to more experienced people who, that's their focus and that's what they're good at. Because focusing on everything is tough. So it's a big achievement to complete and put out there any film, regardless of the length and the budget. And I just say kudos to anyone who pulls it off. It's a lot of hard work.
That is really cool. I love that. And so I got to ask about your poetry, because I'm I've done poetry and I'm a huge fan of it. Which one was your first book, and like, where were you when you put it together mentally? I know that I read about, let's see here, Love is a Killer and Rhyme and Reason. And I was trying to find the third one, but I wanted to ask about them.
Oh, sure. The third one is not currently publicly available. It was a book for charity called Rascals Inc.
Oh, Rasmussen. Okay.
It was basically a bulk mass print that I then sold those physical copies. And that one, I was in lockdown in the UK with my family for 6 months and babysitting my nephews, who are a bit of a handful. And so it's one long story poem, about 40 verses or something like that, about adventures in babysitting with my nephews. So then I decided I wanted to give back to the NHS and try and support them while I was there. And so I reached out on the local radio and was interviewed by them several times to put a campaign out for local artists. And I knew a couple of artists over here. My friend Candice McVicker did the cover art. So I had and ultimately it ended up being 15 artists across the world. Majority were in the UK. Candice and Brian Ruff is another friend who's an American. Those two are from America. Also had two from the Philippines, one from Amsterdam. And they all donated their talents and illustrated at least one page for me. I had one illustration per one or two verses as it tells a story. And to make it not seem so weird, because an illustrated story would be consecutive and what's the word? Continuity. That's what word I'm thinking of. In the style and the artwork throughout the story. To make it a little bit more cohesive, I obviously gave each artist photos of everyone in it, myself, my nephews, my family, and told them what they're wearing. So I'm wearing a red sweater and a black long skirt, so that would match, so people would know, well, this is this person throughout the story, throughout the book. And it was interesting to see the different artists rendering of each of us. that was
so cool.
So we raised about £400, which is what the exchange rate is terrible right now. Probably only about $450 now in dollars for the NHS. And then I sold some remaining copies over here. It was $175, I think, went to Global USA, and their division for the Ukraine is what I designated that to.
Oh wow, that's so cool.
I might reach out to the artists and see what their opinion is on getting it onto Amazon, and then because of taxes and all this, that, and the other, I'd have to re-edit it because the size
Right.
trim is slightly different, and also just edit the interior notes or whatever regarding the charity aspect, and it would probably be between 70 to 80%. I'd be able to donate after everything, and I'm sure they'd be cool with that. So it can still keep on giving. It won't be a lot because your royalties aren't great, but it's it'll still be something, and it'll get our work out there for all of us. So that's something I'm thinking about doing. But my first book was Love is a Killer, and that's based solidly in the horror genre market. And that basically started because I've got reams of bits of paper all over the place with notes of stuff I've been writing since I was a kid, and I was always too shy to actually publish anything. And rereading some of my work, I thought, this really isn't that bad. And I guess I got more confidence to actually publish by reading other people's work and seeing the reaction. I thought, I'm not the only, especially the ones that are not. I do fictional, like story poems, and I also do poems that are, somehow life lesson related ish. and when you're in that, it's good, really, really good therapy. And some people might say some of my work's really depressing, and in a way, yes, it is. But some of it could be deemed inspiring. But I know I'm not the only person who's ever had the same thoughts and feelings as me. So I've had a lot of good feedback on some of that work from people who've been there and basically don't have the words themselves to express that feeling, and they really relate to the work, and that's a great feeling. That's great to hear. I like kind of feel sorry for them. So I'm sorry you had to go through that, but yeah, it's like,
Feels good to know that you touched
not
somebody.
alone.
Yeah.
So Love is a Killer is split into three subjects. It's based on heartbreak, and the first is human heartbreak, but on the darker side. And then this middle section is serial killers, psychos, and the third section is classic monsters. I've got Frankenstein in there, werewolf, wolfman, vampire. So it's been really popular. I've done well with that book.
That's so cool. And then your other one, Rhyme and Reason. I was reading quite a bit about that one, and that one's just kind of to help get people through tough times, if I'm right.
Yeah, that one is more everything in the kitchen sink. And again, some fiction, some mostly not, though. It's more me putting myself out there even more, which is a really scary thing to do, really, because it makes you feel really vulnerable when you're basically exposing yourself that much. But like I said, again, it's like I was inspired to do that because of the comments from the first one of people relating to it. So I thought, okay, well, this is not horror based. So I don't know that the market's there, because the current non-horror poetry market is not where I'm at. It's more random free verse, political. It's more like the 50s kind of beatnik era is what I consider today's poetry has gone back to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
It's all kind of soapbox, just like hit it kind of off the cuff, and which is not my style. So some people have trouble with rhyming verse. They don't know how to read it because they don't know the flow.
Right.
I'm from a musical background. It has to have that rhythm to me.
Mine too. I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
I can't read it if it's not like that. It messes with my brain. Like the beatnik style is, I like to have that cohesive piece when I'm reading. Yeah.
So I gotta
ask. Read the rhyme though. They some people struggle reading rhyme, and they don't. Their brain doesn't work that way. And so I might do a companion audio book.
That'd be cool.
Oh, that's really cool. I didn't even think about that. That would be incredible. And you mentioned to me that you have a new project reveal. And so I have to ask about that.
So I put off doing any scripting for a few years, especially over the pandemic, because for budgeting reasons mainly, because I was doing kind of well with the poetry books, and it's I don't need anybody else to do that. I can do it all on my own, and so it's cathartic, and so it was a lot easier to focus on that for a time, and it still meant I was still being creative and I still had product to put out there. But I've got such a slate of scripts. I knew I definitely wanted to get back into film at some point. I've been trying to get more work in front of the camera, in speaking roles, not just background work, in indie productions and anything that would have me in a speaking role. And I thought if I can do that, get more face time, might build my brand. So then it might make it easier to fundraise ultimately to make my own movies. if people know you more, that they're more inclined to, you know, oh, I know, I like this person, I like their work, etc. It helps. But yeah, long and short of it is, it's like I got sick of waiting, so I thought, well, why not? Let's see what happens. Embarking on my very first feature. I've got to prove to myself that I can actually finish a feature script. I have so many that are in various stages of being unfinished, from just an idea and a few notes to like 1 or 2 pages of script. And right now I'm on 50 scenes and 2 kills so far.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
I'm going for it. I've got the whole story pretty much mapped out in my head. So I'm on a mission to finish this script.
Yay!
So the big reveal is the actual title of this project. And the title is it's The Ripper Legacy.
The Ripper Legacy. Oh, that is so cool.
So obviously, yes, it's has ties to Jack the Ripper. It's not going to be a period piece, although I love period Gothic horror. That will be someday. That will come. But this is going to be set in modern day small town America. I love the small towns and the diners. I like the 50s aesthetic, but it will be set in modern day. And of course, I have to star in it.
Yeah.
I don't always have to be the lead of my projects, but you know, I've got to be in it as flexing my my acting muscle. So now I can't do an American accent, which has been my downfall, unfortunately, casting in this country. They may like it as, you know, in their personal life, the public might like it, but filmmakers can't seem to work with it, like whatever. But if you notice, a lot of big star actors, UK actors and Australian, have to do American accents in the big movies.
Oh yeah,
they're really good at it, but I can't manage it. So
and I can't do a British accent to save my life. I love them. I could listen to you talk all day long. And I think all Americans are like that. We just naturally gravitate towards incredible accents. And I have tried a million times over, and I just sound like I'm Southern. It's bad. Like I could never pull it off.
I have so many actors who like try out their British accent on me. I'm like, please don't.
oh,
Stop.
gosh.
Please don't do that. Please just no more. That's me. I wouldn't even attempt it.
No, it takes a lot of talent. It blows my mind how many actors from the UK can do an American accent better than the people who live here half the time.
Yeah,
That's like,
it's true. I've seen some incredible talented
yeah.
people who could do accents. Well, I am so excited to hear about that. I actually have a family tie. I don't know if you know much about the Ed Gein case out of Wisconsin, but my grandfather and his brother worked the case. My grandfather's brother was with the game warden when they arrested Ed Gein, and I actually have an arrowhead from his bedroom drawer. My grandpa went in and toured the house, and they helped remove evidence. And there's a photo of my grandpa carrying out the oh my gosh, I'm pulling up blank.
The chair or
Typewriter.
Oh yeah.
Out of the house. And so I have a lot of really cool like photographs and stories. And so I love that kind of stuff. I'm really excited to hear what you do, and to see what you do. Will be the first in line.
I don't want to go into the story too much. But you know, it's a supernatural supernatural slasher, I guess you would term it, in a way.
I love that. Oh my gosh, I am so excited. Well, you definitely have to keep us in the loop, and so when this starts to kind of kick off and how we can help and share it and get the word out there. I love that. And I'm really excited to see where your career takes you, because you're super, super talented. I mean, it's incredible. Going through your IMDb and everything, I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much information. I had to keep narrowing my questions down. So I have so many questions for you. So, well, with all that being said, is there anything that you would like to let the audience know about where they can find you? I know we're going to be listing everything in the link section below. So I'll be listing your YouTube, your Instagram, your Facebook profiles, your IMDb, Amazon links, for what you have on Amazon. So if there's anything that you'd like to say to everybody, please
There
feel
are
free.
a couple of projects that aren't my projects, but I will be participating in that I wanted to throw out there. Horror in the horror market. One is set for hopefully maybe next year. Christopher Kaler's shark movie, Sharkago. I should put you in touch with him. He should come on and tell you more about that. So it's a comedy horror shark movie, and everybody seems to be all, yeah, it's a shark movie. Like, is that shark movies and zombie movies seem to be a big thing. So I'm a scientist in that. And then scheduled to shoot next spring, summer is a film by Bishop Stevens, The Adventures of Salem Tusk. And it's a steampunk adventure movie. So actually, technically, that's not a horror movie, but it's I guess you could still call it a genre movie, fantasy action film. And I play a airship pilot, and so that's going to be exciting. I love fantasy, anything gothic, fantasy, adventure, all kinds of things like that.
That's incredible. Oh man, I'm super excited. I love that kind of stuff too. That's going to be amazing.
So anything I want to say to people, check me out. Like, click on the links, do your thing, and if you Google Claire Fluff Llewellyn, it's just me, baby. That's why I keep the Fluff in my name. It's my nickname, but it's obviously serving another purpose now. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Thank you again so incredibly much for taking the time to sit with us today. It's been amazing getting to know you. I'm really excited to see where your career takes you. And let's definitely keep in touch. And as you get closer to your feature film being finished, maybe you would be okay with jumping back on for another interview at that time. That would be
awesome.
Really cool. So again, thank you so much. And we will have everything in the links below.
Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on and taking the time to chat with me. And another shout out to other filmmakers out there. Anybody in casting land?
Yeah.
Come this way. I need
That's awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.